Hello, my lovely listeners. I'm Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns. Welcome to this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. Good morning, gorgeous listeners. It's Dr. Lucy here, again, joined this week. We're back together, the dynamic duo. Gorgeous Dr. Mary's here too. Hello, Mares. How are you?
Good. Happy to be back podcasting with you, lovely one.
Absolutely.
Excited about today's topic. It comes back to this idea that we're simultaneously complicated but simple. And we're talking about the nuances of weight loss. I think are really important. And this is where, people like you and I can get very excited talking about the very important tweaks and details that matter.
Absolutely. And I think it comes down to lots of things, but we know you need knowledge, you need strategy. It's a bit like running a business, really. You need knowledge and strategy. You need to understand facts and figures, and then you need to recognize the nuances or the little differences that apply to your situation. So I guess, your uniqueness, which, is not captured in a meal plan, for example.
You've said many times that weight loss is more than a meal plan. Yes, and so meal plans are not the end-all be-all, but people often feel that they are. They feel if they just got the right meal plan, then it would work. Finally, they'd be able to do it. It's just that they haven't yet found the right one, or they need the right recipes, and then it'll work. Then they'll finally be able to, get the health and weight loss that they want. And although recipes can be helpful, meal plans can be helpful, they're not enough on their own.
No, they're definitely not. They're a tool, but, if you ask a mechanic, he doesn't just have one tool to fix the car. He's got lots. And I kind of think we're a bit like the car. There's lots of things that we need, lots of tools, and, there's lots, we're all different. So just like the cars are all the same but all different. You've got a car, one car's got a GPS system in it and the other one doesn't. So getting a GPS fixing tool is of no use to a car without a GPS.
Absolutely. I think that nuances are extremely important, because if you take any argument and simplify it too much, you're going to get to the point where the argument is wrong. And I think that the weight loss world in particular, even the low carb world, it's really peppered with a lot of these simplified arguments that are simplified down to the point of no longer being helpful. Like the argument that calories don't matter. Not entirely true in a helpful way. The idea that you just need to count your carbs and keep your carbs low, it's not necessarily helpful. Or even, in modern medicine, there's a simplistic argument that has become deeply embedded in that, all LDL cholesterol is bad. Your LDL lipoproteins are bad, and the lower they are, the better. Whereas all of these arguments, they are simplified down to the point where they're actually kind of become untrue. And it's extremely knowable to know the nuances, but you do need to be educated. So, Lucy, lovely Lucy, could we expand a little bit on this? Calories don't count. Calories don't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess first thing is, what is a calorie? So a calorie is just a unit of measurement. It's like, how do you measure temperature? You use degrees. In Australia, we use degrees Celsius. In America, they use degrees Fahrenheit. It's just a measurement. So it's a unit of energy. So, which I always have a snigger then, because you imagine in marketing, whenever they talk about high, energy drinks, energy bars, if they swapped that word for calorie drinks or calorie bars, no one would buy them. So
they'd be probably less popular. Yes, it would be an issue. Yeah.
And it's also fascinating to me that calories are an old metric, and kilojoules are actually the new metric. But for whatever reason, that certainly has not been adopted very much within any community. People understand calories. They don't necessarily understand or relate to to kilojoules. And I think it's a little bit like, and I'm diverting amazingly here, but it's a bit like when we measure babies, like when babies are born.
Yeah, they're in pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, they're in pounds. Everyone knows a 10-pound baby is massive.
Yep.
4 kilo baby, people go, is that big?
What's
I don't
that?
know, is that big?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So-
Yeah. It's a bit like 24-hour time. I'm used to thinking in kilojoules and measuring babies in kilos and grams, but I appreciate that is not generally how our society works. We think about our energy, the energy in our food in calories. And we have for a long time been sold this idea that you just need to eat less calories than you consume and you will lose weight because we're simple buckets of calories. And so high calorie food have been demonized. Stay away from fat. Fat's calorically dense. Don't eat fat. Low calorie diets are what you need. And then, you and I being among, the more enlightened people out there, I'd like to say it's quite, yes. Yes, but I believe so. We know that there's so much more to it. But then I think there has been this backlash, particularly in low carb communities where we're like, well, it's not calories. That's just such a simplistic argument. It's not about calories. It's really about metabolic hormones and metabolic health. So forget calories. Calories don't count. And then people can completely, perhaps even swing right the other way, where they think it doesn't matter how much energy they consume as long as they're consuming it in a low carb way. Discuss.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And this is one of the foibles, I guess, the issues that we see is when people, and we talk about it a little bit with weight loss stalls, but it's still overeating, I guess, food, overeating your energy in the form of food, because that's how we get our energy. And again, this is a lesson I think that takes a long time to catch on to or to learn or to finesse, which is that lesson of being able to tune into your hunger and tune into your satiety signaling and know that there are times when we do overeat and there are times when we eat when we're not hungry, and that if we do that, it's not bad. Like, you're not a robber. You're not bloody mowing people down in a car. What you are, though, is just recognizing that it's a little bit like a bank. You've taken money out of a savings account but you'll probably need to put it back in. So at some stage further on, you will probably, you are unlikely to be hungry because your body has enough fuel. If your woodshed's open, you can access that fuel, but we need to listen to that and just know yourself well.
Yes. It is true that if your goal is to burn some of your body fat, that simply reducing calories is not a good nor sustainable way to do that. And we have talked about this at length in this podcast. It's a topic you and I are very, very passionate on, that if you want to be able to access your own fat stores and use that as some of the fuel that fuels your beautiful body through your beautiful life, then you need to get metabolic healing. You need to get your hormones into a better balance. Specifically, you need to get your insulin levels lower and reduce any insulin resistance that is around. And you do that by changing what you eat, not how much. What you eat, the real food that's naturally lower in the sugar and starches will give you that metabolic healing. But how much you eat does play a role as well. It really does. Because our bodies are clever, and if we're eating a lot of extra fuel, if we're eating lots of fuel, our body will just burn that fuel first.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, again, on average, people go, well, what do you mean calories don't matter? Let's go the average human. So this is just an average human, whatever that may look like, because in fact, is there an average human? That's a whole different topic. But let's say the average human requires about 2,000 calories a day to run their body. So 2,000 units of energy is what we can call that. So we need 2,000 units of energy. Now, some people are going to need more, some people are going to need less. Let's not debate that argument. So we go, all right, so we can get that energy from our food and we can get it from our own body fat, which is where I think the original concept of calorie counting came from. And again, I'm trying not to be too mean to old researchers because we didn't know stuff back in the 1900s. We didn't know about leptin, which is our satiety hormone. We didn't know about ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone. We didn't know about peptide YY and all these other hormones and polypeptides that are involved in our hunger and satiety signaling. But what I think is fascinating, and this is interesting, is, protein. We, as everybody hopefully who listens to our podcast knows how much we love protein, why it's so important. But most importantly, the thing about protein is it's so satiating. It fills you up. So, recently we had a question where somebody said they're having trouble eating enough protein, and again, we often, let's say you're 120 kilos, then you need about 120 grams of protein a day, which if we then translate that to calories, that's 480 calories. When you boil it down to that, that's actually not that much. Like it's a quarter of your body's needs coming from protein, which is about right, 25%, give or take. So therefore, it's like, isn't it interesting that we've got this macronutrient, but it's hard to eat enough? Like it's almost the opposite of dieting where we're going, no, you can't eat it. No more for you. You've had enough. Here people are going, I can't eat that much.
Yes, it is a high satiety macronutrient, which is something we love about protein, quite apart from the fact that we are literally built of protein building blocks. And if we don't eat enough protein, we aren't able to heal and function and, have as well as we want. And we can't really store protein. So we need to eat it. But it literally is, it fills us up. So, 100 or 500 calories of, salmon, that's a lot. Let's say 300 calories of salmon is not going to have the same effect on our body as 300 calories of chocolate chip ice cream. Whereas the previous, it's all about calories argument or, point counting arguments would say that it is. You just need to eat less. Doesn't matter what you eat as long as you eat less. But it is not about how much you eat, but more about the quality of what you eat. Because when you improve the quality of what you eat, you get metabolic healing, you can boost your metabolism, you can feel better, you can have great energy, and you can access your fat stores because of that normal metabolic balance in your metabolic hormones. And you also do naturally eat less fuel when you're fueling the body the right way, which means that your body will happily, healthily make up that deficit by burning your fat stores, which is what you want. Calories do matter, but counting them isn't helpful.
No, they're a small piece of the puzzle, not the whole puzzle, which is what we've been taught for such a long time. And again, I just, think, God, how many packets of bloody processed diet chocolate mousse did I buy, because they were half a point, which was like 50 calories or something, and they did nothing. They just did nothing. The interesting thing, and again, this is, all comes back to being able to regulate, tune into that beautiful knowing of being able to really estimate when you're full. If you prioritize your protein first, then the rest becomes easy because you're then full. So if you're full, as in feel full, if you feel full, and of course we can override our satiety, we're humans. We can do that. But two things. One, why would you want to? And B, it's harder to.
Yes. And with that beautiful metabolic healing, you also get less of those physiological cravings for sugar as well. So you're having a beautiful meal that's delicious, it's yummy, you really enjoy it, you're prioritizing your protein, you feel nice and full so that I'm hungry sort of chatter in your brain isn't there. But also those carbohydrate cravings are much lower. And so that little chatter of like, I need the cookies, I need the ice cream is much lower as well. So this is a much more peaceful way to be in the world. And this is what I love about higher protein, lower carbohydrate, real food diet. It's so yummy. And you just eat your meals and then you don't have to think about food or worry about food until it's time to have another meal. It is much calmer.
Indeed, indeed. And, again, this is the nuances, because I think when a lot of people are wanting to lose weight, the other sentence I hear a lot, apart from, I just need to count my calories, is I need to reduce my portion sizes. And it's like, interesting. And again, we've been told that, you eat too much. Okay, so, I look and think, all right, you eat too much. Well, again, do we need to reduce portion sizes? Now, I was thinking about this the other day. My two foibles around eating are, one, I'm a fast eater, a wolfer of food, which doesn't serve me well.
I don't know about you, but that's my a throwback to my medical training. You either eat fast or you don't eat at all. As a junior doctor, yep. Every doctor I know is the same.
Same, yeah. It's mine was actually the brothers, so I grew up with brothers. So if you wanted more, you had to quickly gobble up what you had so that you could get in for more.
Right.
So a fast eater and a picker. So if there is food in front of me, even if I don't really want it, my brain eats it. So the two things that have helped me with that are to try and eat more slowly, which again is a work in progress because I often default to wolfing, and just not to have food in front of me. So when I wolf and when I pick, I override that beautiful satiety, knowing, that intuitive eating, that, I really love that idea of, and again, I know there's an intuitive eating brand. It's slightly different to when we talk about intuitive eating, we believe it is incredibly hard to intuitively eat a processed food product that is designed to be overeaten.
Yes. But when you eat natural, real food, you almost automatically intuitively eat it just because it's natural, real food, the food we're designed to eat.
Yeah. So, and as part of my wolfing, picking things, I've also recognized that if I have a bowl of food, particularly if it's yummy, like my favorite would be something like a chicken satay. If it's yummy, I find it hard to go, oh, I'm halfway through the bowl, I'm full, I'll just put it in the fridge. My brain goes, well, it's here now, might as well eat it. So there are two consequences of that. One is that I'm actually full then for very long because I've got fuel, it's all available, my woodshed's open, I don't need to eat. So I can naturally fast longer without forcing it. But what I've learned is that when I do this, I also am a bit uncomfortable. Like I'll go sit down on the couch later and go, oh my God, I've eaten too much. Or I'll lie in bed and go, oh, I'm still full. This is uncomfortable. So it is better for me to use small bowls, take a serving, and the deal with myself is if I'm still hungry, I can go back and get some more. As opposed to the idea of, well, you do have a small bowl because then you're going to have a small portion and then you're going to not overeat, even if you're hungry.
And you have to just have your small portion, and if you want more, you're still not allowed to have it because you just have to white-knuckle your way through and be hungry because it's all about calories. Yes, that's much, much less helpful. That's just understanding the way that your beautiful body and your beautiful mind works.
A nuance. This is exactly the nuance that we're talking about. These are the things that people learn about themselves if they listen and experiment and recognize what's going on. Then, again, you get to write your own playbook, your own weight loss book, if you like, specifically to you, which, will have the frameworks, that we like to teach, absolutely, and then the nuances that apply to you, but don't apply necessarily to Sam or Dave or Ben or Rachel. They're your nuances.
Yes. I think another important nuance that I would like to throw in there, because I see it a lot, is having extra fat, especially in the form of like oil and butter in coffees and tea, or having a lot of cream in your coffee or tea. This is something that's quite common out there, and there's these little pockets in the low-carb world that believe you need to be having lots of extra fat. I think a little nuance with that is that if that kind of cream or butter, when you drink it, I suspect it really doesn't. My suspicion is that it doesn't really signal our normal hunger feelings. So it's probably quite easy to have butter or oil or lots of cream in your coffee without feeling full. And that if you're having those extra servings of fat with your drinks, it's not filling you up. It's not necessarily a bad thing at all. However, it's fuel, and your body will burn that fuel because it sees the fuel that we eat before it goes into our own fat stores and burns those. And so it's possible that if you've got a weight loss goal, a nuance to look at would be that drinking your fat is not necessarily helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it comes, look, again, it's the myth busting world back, when, keto and bulletproof coffees were very popular and people were drinking them like crazy, which is, again, it's, you're the boss of you. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, totally.
And I guess this is a nuance. So, and I remember hearing about, again, you go into Facebook groups where there's people with just opinions and, people going, no, you need to have plenty of fat. Don't fear fat, have plenty of fat. And other people going, oh my God, you butter chugger, what's wrong with you? And it was like really aggressive. But a nuance that we would teach people is that at the start, particularly when your woodshed is shut, you will need some fuel. And the fuel will be some extra fat. And then comes a point where you dial it back. And that's where the nuance comes. Dialing it back when your body is now, when your woodshed is open, your body is fat adapted, you're running, you've got all access to your fuel. And that takes time. That doesn't happen in the first week.
Mm. It's a beautiful thing when it does happen, though.
Oh, God, it is good. It is. It's so good knowing that you're not a slave to food. If your meal is late or you don't have access to some food that you want, you have access to your stores. It's available to you. You can just power on and then eat when it suits you, not the other way around.
Yes. It's a much calmer and happier way to be.
Absolutely. All right, gorgeous people. So I guess that's our summary. This week's podcast is really about the nuance of weight loss. Yes, you need the broad framework. Absolutely, you do. You need that. But then after a little while, the nuances are very important.
That's what we love, empowering people to be able to learn and claim their own nuance.
Indeed. So, gorgeous ones, if you're looking for some more information on the framework, the basic framework that we talk about, we have a book. It's called The Doctor's Guide to Weight Loss. It's not a very inventive name, but it's very clear on what it provides. It's an ebook and you can download it. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to our website, allthews.rlmedicine.com. All right, gorgeous ones, have a beautiful, beautiful week and we will catch you next week.
See ya.
So, my lovely listeners, that ends this episode of Real Health and Weight Loss. I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
And I'm Dr. Mary Barson. We're from Real Life Medicine. To contact us, please visit rlmedicine.com.
And until next time, thanks for listening. The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.